Casual photography near the 6 designated locations used by the Office for Safeguarding National Security does not violate any laws, the government clarifies. Taxi license holders hand over a petition urging authorities to do more to tackle growing competition from illegal ride-hailing services. And U.S. President Donald Trump wraps up the first overseas trip of his second term by signing mega deals with the United Arab Emirates. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Members of the public will not face prosecution under any laws if they go near or take pictures at 6 sites across the city where the offices for safeguarding national security are located. The clarification comes after the sites were declared prohibited places under the new subsidiary legislation for safeguarding national security ordinance, which was approved by the government earlier this week. In response to media inquiries, the government stated that authorized officers may order individuals not to approach or inspect restricted zones. They can also instruct people near these areas to leave immediately. Anyone who disobeys such orders commits an offense. However, if members of the public merely pass by the restricted zones and take casual photos without any intent to endanger national security, there will be no issue. But anyone filming or taking pictures at the entrance or interior of a prohibited area with an intent of espionage constitutes a credible threat to national security and could face prosecution if found guilty. A petition signed by more than 5,000 taxi license holders requesting to step up enforcement action against illegal ride-hailing services was handed to authorities at government headquarters today. Competition from ride-hailing platforms is severely affecting the business of taxi drivers in the city. Quentin Yang tells us more.
More than 30 taxi owners gathered outside government headquarters this morning, warning of judicial reviews if authorities fail to take stronger actions. The demonstration followed the tense 2-hour meeting yesterday between transport officials and taxi industry representatives, during which government representatives reiterated plans to draft legislation to regulate ride-hailing platforms by the end of the year. The authorities also announced plans to meet with representatives from the platforms later in the day to remind them that their operations must comply with the law. However, Taxi Group criticized the lack of direct answers to their requests. Lam Chi-chun, spokesperson for an informal taxi owners alliance, accused officials of repeating identical responses for 11 years without meaningful progress. Taxi owners argue that illegal operators, often linked to platforms like Uber and Didi, undercut their livelihoods while evading insurance, safety checks, and taxes. Lam's group warned of escalating measures, including a judicial review to challenge the government's failure to protect taxi franchise rights. The group also filed a complaint with the ombudsman later in the afternoon, alleging that the Transport Department has been stonewalling their requests for over 2 years now. There hasn't been an official response to the matter, but the government said it is determined to crack down on illegal ride-hailing services. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Authorities have established a dedicated task force to combat the deceptive sale of pets online. The move comes after fraudsters using fake profiles failed to show up after collecting payments or delivered sick animals. Quentin Yang reports.
The Consumer Council and animal welfare officials reported a significant rise in such cases, which exploit unsuspecting buyers. Posting alluring photos of pets online to trick potential buyers, scammers delivered unhealthy animals, deleting all communication post-payment. Michelle Yuan, Principal Veterinary Officer at the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department, said the new task force will monitor online sales, resolve complaints, and educate the public. She emphasized that licensed sellers must operate from registered premises and urged buyers to verify permits directly through the AFCD. Angela Chan, deputy chair of the Hong Kong Pet Trade Association, warned of plummeting revenue in legitimate businesses amid a surge in unregulated competition. Physical stores ensure animal welfare, vaccinations, and proper living conditions, standards online sellers routinely ignore, she stressed. Officials have advised people to buy pets from registered sellers, as almost 90% of online vendors don't have a license. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Hong Kongers can enjoy longer breaks by attaching annual leave to their public holidays next year, as many festivals fall close to a weekend or early in the week. The Lunar New Year holidays can be converted into an extended 9-day break by taking 2 days of annual leave. With the first day of the new year falling on a Tuesday in mid-January, people working 5 days a week can make the break longer by taking time off on Monday and Friday. And if that is not enough, the Easter break can be stretched to 10 days. Qingming falls on Easter Sunday, so an additional public holiday will be observed on Tuesday after Easter Monday. Add 3 days of leave and the long weekend suddenly swells into a 10-day break. Labor Day is a long weekend as May 1st falls on a Friday. The public holiday for Buddha's birthday is on Monday, May 25th, while Dragon Boat Festival is also on Friday, June 19th. All three festivals have the potential of becoming extended breaks, depending on the strategic placement of annual leave to maximize the duration of the holiday. Establishment Day on Wednesday, July 1st has similar potential and can be juggled into a long weekend by adding 2 days of annual leave. And if people still have some leave left, they can end the year with a bang, as Christmas in 2026 falls on a Friday. To better protect part-time and casual workers, the government has introduced a landmark legislative amendment which will grant temporary employees access to statutory benefits like paid holidays, annual leave, and sickness allowances. Quentin Yang has more details.
Gazetted on April 11th and tabled for its first reading in the Legislative Council on April 16th, the Employment Amendment Bill 2025 reduces the weekly working hour requirement from 18 to 17 and introduces a flexible 4-week cumulative threshold of 68 hours. Under the current 418 rule, employees must work 18 hours per week for 4 consecutive weeks to qualify for benefits. The revised 468 rule allows workers to meet the threshold even if individuals work for less than 17 hours per week, provided the total over 4 weeks reaches 68 hours. Labor officials say this addresses loopholes where employers kept the weekly hours at 17 to avoid obligations. However, the business sector warned of rising manpower costs. Retail sector lawmaker Peter Hsu argued that employers hiring part-time staff, such as a worker only clocking 17 hours over 2 days, would face additional financial burdens. In a counter-response, Undersecretary for Labor and Welfare Jonathan Ho said, employees working consistently for years under such arrangements should not be treated as casual labor, and urged employers to prioritize long-term workforce stability over short-term benefits. Changes will take effect 6 months after the amendment is passed. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
U.S. President Donald Trump has concluded his trip to the Middle East after signing deals worth billions of dollars on his last stop in the United Arab Emirates. The Arabian country, in return, has committed to invest $1.4 trillion in America over the next 10 years. Anna Chan reports.
After visiting Saudi Arabia and Qatar, Trump attended a state dinner in Abu Dhabi, which was hosted by his UAE counterpart, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Shaking hands before stepping into his limousine, Trump gave a few fist pumps and pointed at the UAE leader. Both leaders praised the unprecedented boost in relations between the two countries. Washington struck deals totaling more than $200 billion, including a $14.5 billion commitment between Boeing, GE Aerospace, and Etihad Airways. The Abu Dhabi-based airline is ordering 28 wide-body aircraft from the U.S. plane manufacturer, with engines supplied by another American multinational, General Electric. Delivery of the aircraft is expected to start in 2028.
I have absolutely no doubt that the relationship will only get bigger and better. Your relationship and mine can't get better, so I can't say it's going to get better because it's at the highest level it can be.
Al Nayar also presented Trump with the Order of Zayed, the UAE's highest civilian honor, and credited Trump for taking the economic partnership between the two nations to new heights. The U.S. will partner with the UAE to build a massive data center complex in Abu Dhabi with a capacity of 5 gigawatts. The project is seen as a big extension for U.S. firms developing artificial intelligence and other cloud computing technologies. Anna Chen, Cable News.
A court in Thailand has issued arrest warrants for 17 people connected to the construction of a skyscraper which collapsed during an earthquake in March. The under-construction 30-story tower in the capital Bangkok, which was to house the State Audit Office, collapsed when a 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck neighboring Myanmar. Over 90 deaths were reported at the site and 4 people are still unaccounted for. Construction tycoon Prem Chai Karnasuta, president of Italian Thai Development plc, along with 16 other suspects, including engineers, supervisors, and contractors, face charges for professional negligence causing death. Police investigations found that the building's design violated safety standards, with structural flaws in the core lift shaft and substandard concrete and steel. Hong Kong's economy recorded a stable growth in the first quarter, rising 3.1%. Despite sustained global trade flows, Hong Kong's economy improved slightly, picking up from the 2.5% growth in the last quarter of 2024. Improving inbound tourism and a recent ease in international trade tensions has revived the service sector, taking the growth in gross domestic product slightly higher than the government's full-year forecast of between 2 and 3%. While export of goods surged 8.4%, private consumption expenditure declined by 1.1%. The sustained steady growth in the mainland's economy and more proactive fiscal and monetary policies have bolstered Hong Kong businesses. There has been a sharp rise in the number of bankruptcies after courts in the city issued more than 900 receiving orders last month. The official receiver's office showed 811 personal bankruptcy petitions were filed last month, an 8.4% drop from March, but still it was 9.3% higher than the same period last year. Corporate winding up petitions declined, with 61 cases recorded, down 8.9% month-on-month and 7.5% year-on-year. In the first 4 months of this year, cumulative personal bankruptcy petitions reached around 3,300, while corporate winding up petitions totaled approximately 240. Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 108 points. Top active stocks of the day. Alibaba was down $5.50. Tencent was down $7.50. BYD was up $13.80, and JD was down $3.60. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar, euro 8.74, the Australian dollar 5.01. Onto the weather now. Mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 showers. The minimum temperature will be about 27 degrees tomorrow morning. Hot with sunny periods during the day. The maximum temperature will be around 32 degrees in the urban areas and a couple of degrees higher in the new territories. A few showers in the following days. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thank you for watching and good night.